Welcome to the Hold Maneuver podcast. I'm Mark.
And I'm Mike. We're two hardworking dads trying to immerse ourselves in Star Wars and fit it into our very busy lives.
And if this is your first time listening and or watching, in this sometimes short form Star Wars podcast, we'll share our thoughts on different topics from a galaxy far, far away.
Where do Sith shop?
Feel like I should know this.
Probably, maybe.
Bad Sith and Beyond.
Close. That's actually a really good one, but at the mall, everything is half off.
Nice.
Right? But the mall.
But do they come with spider legs?
I mean,
you know.
Sure. Now they can, absolutely. These are things that can happen in Star Wars land.
Yeah. And speaking of that, welcome back, Adam. You joined us recently, a few weeks ago for an episode of Andor.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
So we figured we'd ask you back. I think this is your third time on the show now, right? Yeah. So you did Obi-Wan, and then you did an Andor. Now you did another Andor.
Yeah. We did. It was episode, I believe, episode 5 of Andor. So like right before that, it was episode 5 of Andor.
Nice.
I'm fairly certain.
So we are now on episode 29 of the HOLDO Maneuver, talking about episode 9 of Andor. Before we get into the episode discussion, really quick, we'll go through a few of our segments really quick here at the start. We haven't done this one in a few weeks, but it's going to be kind of a little mishmash for our I Am Your Father story time. Now, Adams will be related to it in that it is Star Wars, and that it made him feel like a kid. So, what is your story this weekend?
Well, I went to Disneyland as by myself, which was amazing. I highly suggest going there by yourself. If you're gonna go by yourself. But if you can't go by yourself, and you have the means of which to do so, you can take your kid and get yourself a real lightsaber, which was a ton of fun. You can hear it makes like lots of sounds and stuff.
Nice.
But what this makes me feel like is a kid. And if I had a kid, I don't think I'd actually let him play with it, to be honest with you. I think he would stay far, far away from it. It is a treasure, and while I didn't cry, I was humming the Star Wars theme literally the entire time I was in Galaxy's Edge and waiting in the lines to go on the attractions and stuff. I just got to feel like a kid again. And I was by myself. So like when you're childlike in that like mode and you're by yourself and you have that freedom of adulthood, it's like pretty cool. Like imagine if you actually were like a 12-year-old in Disneyland by yourself, like no parents telling you to do anything. You can eat all the cotton candy, all the ice cream, get whatever you want. That's what it's kind of like as an adult. It's like,
that's the last time I went, I was 12 or 13. And that's my cousin worked there at the time, like I was saying before this. And he just like brought us behind the scenes. Like we skipped all the lines, free food everywhere. To be like, I don't know what he did there or if he was just stealing. I don't know. But we didn't wait for anything. We didn't pay for anything. And that's why I'm a little gun shy about potentially going here in a couple of weeks.
Because you got too used to it. You got a little taste, a little morsel of what was on the other side.
Going with a 3-year-old is probably a bad idea.
No, I'm just kidding about not taking your kids.
No, I'd take her still, but she's not going to understand lines. She's not going to understand why.
Just find Anakin and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's true about the lines. There were some. I didn't really have, and I stood by the strollers for a while because that's where we met up with the people we were with, and there weren't too many screaming children. It was a pretty decent experience as far as that goes. So
very cool. And if you want, I don't know like what the time length limits are on Instagram now, but the edited video you sent me, maybe I'll post that on our Holdo Instagram if you don't mind.
The yeah. Yeah, that's
I
like
think
a
it's like
6 minute video.
yeah. So I
Highlights.
will attempt to post it there. If you see it on there after you've watched or listened to this episode, then it worked. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Success.
Oh, yeah. And then yeah, just between Ralph on the show last week, like hyping it up, and then Mike Lee like going on that Halcyon, and then going there a few weeks ago. It's really hyping it up in my mind for me for later this month for myself. And I know Mike is really trying to win the battle on his side so that instead of now Hogwarts is cool too, but I know that he's trying to win the battle to go to Batu rather than
Well,
Hogwarts.
the
His
selling
family.
point is where it is in Disney World. There's more for my kid to do than in Universal Studios.
That's true.
Mhm.
So she can
You can
go
be
over, do
yeah, you can be like
whatever.
there's Toy Story Land.
Yeah, she can go play
There's
with Wood and
there's
Buzz,
Mickey.
Woody
Yeah,
and Buzz, and I'll just go make a lightsaber.
there's
Pretty
Mickey
much,
and
yeah.
Minnie's Runaway Railroad thing that is in the old great movie ride, which RIP to the great movie ride because that ride was awesome. Um, but yeah, there's a ton of stuff to do at Hollywood Studios.
Just strap her
Yeah.
into Tower of Terror and go have myself a time.
Yeah, there you go.
Just stay here. You'll be
Then
fine.
you can have a that'll be a good segue into me. Well, I guess actually you go first, Mike. What was your story this week for
my,
the I'm Your Father story
my
time?
story is this week is I'm currently in an off-site location to film this. I'm at my office at work because my kid is sick and like it's just so hard to deal with that emotionally and because like she's taking the medicine, she's doing everything she can, but she's just not. It's just so hard to see them like suffer in any type of
Right.
way. That's like been really stressful trying to like make sure she gets better, but at the same time, like you gotta like do stuff to keep the house going. You gotta do all these things, but like all you want to do is like I want to like put all my energy into you getting better.
Hmm.
My wife Grace to like just go to the office, get this, record your show because there's no way I could have been at home and not had a screaming child sitting here with me.
Well, she'll get better soon, hopefully, and then she can
Yeah,
be on the
hopefully.
podcast.
I think I think today like was on the upswing.
That's good. She gotta feel good so that she can go to Florida.
We told her
And then
that we're like you got to get better to go to Florida. She's like, I'll go anyway. I was like, okay, like
I mean, she
she's
would,
like,
I
oh,
guess. Right? She doesn't have a choice.
I'll get all these Floridians sick.
she thinks we're going to the beach, so she's in for a rude awakening when we're in inland Florida.
Like, this doesn't look
When
like
we
the
go to
beach.
Orlando.
Where's the beach? Well, it's there's Blizzard Beach right there. It's
Daytona Beach isn't too far from Orlando, I think, either.
Yeah,
yeah, I think
everything's
it's
like 45 minutes from where we are at most. So
yeah. And I mean, eventually everything in Florida will be near the beach too. So you got
a couple of years,
she's
yep,
she's
everything's
got that going for her, which is nice.
Oy, Florida, doing things
Yeah.
right.
And if you're in Florida and listen to this, welcome. So speaking
it's
of
not
things that
your
are in
fault. Your
Florida,
state is backwards.
speaking of things that are in Florida, I remember years ago when I think the last time I was in Florida was like 1998. We went to like when Nickelodeon Studios was there. Um, Now I think it's like some random part of the Universal
I mean,
Studios
it's still there. It's just not Nickelodeon
lot.
anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't look cool. It's like gray and blue now rather than like
It's like
all
all the
the
McDonald's play places are growing
orange
up.
green
That
colors.
grew up.
Yeah.
Man.
My segue I was attempting here was that this cartoon was on Nickelodeon. It was Avatar: The Last Airbender. So and this has a Star Wars connection too because Dave Filoni worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender.
No connection
He's
with James Cameron Avatar.
no,
No,
yeah,
none whatsoever.
no, no blue cats. Uh, but for Halloween, my son ended up going as the character Sokka from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Hmm.
Uh, and what was funny about that is that that character usually has like a top knot in his hair, but the
Oh,
day
Perrin.
before, yeah, kind of like her. The day before Patrick got his Halloween costume, he got his hair cut a little bit shorter, and his point of reference for it was Keanu Reeves via the original Bill and Ted movie. So that's how he got it cut. I was like, "Are you gonna get your hair blown out too?" Because his hair is kind of like really like blown out in that
The
movie a bit.
unwashed look.
He didn't do, yeah. But so it ended up being like too short for him to do like the top bun. So it was like Sokka if he just like didn't do the top bun, I guess.
Before he
Um,
discovered the top bun.
yeah.
Yeah.
And because my son's so tall, like the pants for the costume ended up being like capris because of that.
Mhm.
So it was like this weird, but like the rest of it fit fine. It was just like the pants were capris somehow.
That's
So,
funny.
but
Poor kid. I'm
yeah,
sure he was fine.
yeah, he was fine. He had fun trick or treating. I don't care how long he trick or treats for. I mean, he'll be 17 in like 2 weeks, but
Grow
whatever.
up so
It's tough
It's
fast.
to
tough.
him.
Yeah, it's tough being a teenager. Give the kids candy for however long they want to go trick or treating.
You give them candy or close the door in their face. Like it's their
Yeah,
gamble.
you got two choices. If they're being nice and they actually made the effort to wear a costume and
Right.
like aren't just like wearing like a t-shirt or something like then
That's what it's all about anyway, I think.
yeah.
If I as a 42-year-old man wanted to go trick-or-treating, if I put the effort into a costume and I put a sack in front of your face for during Halloween, I say trick or treat. I don't need a full candy bar. You can give me a potato. I don't care.
Yeah.
They do that
Just
at
give him
work.
a watch or something. He
Yeah.
doesn't like that. Give him more. But
They let the
yeah,
kids
so
at work at college, the school I work at, go trick or treating, and there's also an elementary school nearby, and they let those kids come on campus and trick or treat around the offices. And I was like, they're coming around, and all the little kids from the elementary school, I was like, "You're not in costume. What are you doing? You're just in a winter jacket. Like that is not a costume." And then
well
there's one
that's
girl
the
dressed as Ahsoka. I was like, "You're getting the full bowl of candy. You showed up."
that's the downside of like living somewhere like on like I guess like the northwest or
It
northeast.
was 70 degrees that day, though.
Oh,
Like, why were
okay.
you wearing a winter coat and no costume when you knew you were going trick or treating?
That was the costume. They're like, I'm going as somebody that's cold when it's 70 degrees
No,
out.
I asked him. I was like, "Where's your costume?" I forgot. I was like, "It's Halloween.
You forgot?
That's
You
the
mean your
one thing."
parents forgot you to buy it? Forgot to buy it for you, rather? That's
But then the
funny.
college students are just as bad. I put one streak of makeup over my face. That's a costume.
You could do anything. Like you could be a bum, just like dirt up some clothes and tear some holes in it or something. And like
There you go.
you could do anything. It's a costume.
One
It's
kid was
Halloween.
a deadbeat dad. I did laugh at that. He was walking around in a bathrobe and a coffee cup that was spilling everywhere. I was like, "There's some
Oh
trauma
man.
there."
Yeah. He's like, that's my dad for Christmas or Halloween, Christmas.
On
They're the same
Christmas.
sometimes. Some people refer to Halloween as their Christmas. So
I
I'm
respect
safe
that.
there. I think I'm
And they
safe
listened to
there.
Corns, "Let Get the Santa Claus."
Oh
Yeah.
man.
So from
Derailed.
from from there, we'll segue into like our brief news section, which is Andor related. It's mostly just talking about season 2 of Andor is actually going to start filming pretty soon. So it's going to be starting on the 21st of this month, November 21st, 2022. So I guess, and it sounds like they're going to be flying back out to London around then to start filming. And it looks like it's going to be the same trio of directors that
Good.
uh, did this first season. So it's gonna be like Dan Gilroy and Bo Williams will be returning to write the upcoming season as well. And then there's a newcomer of Tom Bissell who is going to be joining the cast as well too. And it sound from some of the stuff they were talking about is that we already knew like in the season 2 it's going to kind of be a little bit more fast paced than season 1, whereas the season 1 took place is taking place all over this 1 year period of 5 years before Rogue One. Next season will be each kind of arc, like we've had arcs this season, will be another year leading up to that. Uh, and they had said that next season we'll have Yavin will show up in there. So we'll see a bit of Yavin in that season as well. So that'll be pretty cool. And then we will also see a lot of things that will very squarely set up stuff that we saw in Rogue One as well too. So it's pretty exciting to know that they're at least going to be filming this soon. I don't know when we're going to get season 2. Maybe we'll get it
in
next
a year.
fall.
I feel like June, July is a good time. If they're filming now, it would be like September or October. I feel like
because it's another 12 episodes. So
depends on how desperate they are for clicks.
Yeah, I feel like it just I feel like it would depend on how they wrap up this season and what the fan interest is at the end of the season. See what like how much people, because I mean I'm really enjoying it. So I feel like I haven't really talked to like other Star Wars fans about it, because some of them could be pretty toxic, even ones that I hang out with like on like a May the 4th day. Not that I mean I love them dearly, but some of them can be pretty toxic about everything, and it's just like, yo, it's really like I'm entertained. Like that's what you got to do to me. Entertain me, and these movies are entertaining. Are they the greatest stories in the world? No, they're stories that have been told time and time again. It's very hard to make an original story. So
yeah, you can say that for anything and everything. So
yeah. So that's me. I season 2. I mean, depending. I mean, we have a few episodes left of season 1 now. Season 2 is going to be pretty exciting. I feel like
I'm just hoping it's not going to be too fast paced, because the slow burn of season 1 has been good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like.
Although I feel like it'll feel similar to it in a way, just because even though this is all taking place over like 1 year, they still feel like these very contained arcs that like there's this kind of through line through everything, which I feel like they can still do even if that stuff is taking place over the course of 4 years.
Oh, they definitely can, but like certain things we're seeing now, how it's taking so long for a payoff. I just hope like they don't set something up and then give it the crappiest payoff just because they got to jump ahead 6 years or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the only fear I have is, oh, we have this really cool story and crap.
I think it'll be all right. We'll see. But although because I don't think they're not going to do the hot D route of jumping 20 years over the course of one season.
Yeah.
Hot D is what I call House of the Dragon, just so people know what I'm talking about there.
I should have just left it alone.
Now I'll make a very awkward segue. Speaking of Hot D, this is where we segue to Vactor's segment of the episode.
Vactor here once again. I gotta say it. I feel like a broken record. Andor was good again. Another episode, fantastic. If you're not watching this, if you're a Star Wars fan, I don't know what to tell you at this point. Everybody is ranting and raving about this show. We talked about it here on the Holdo Maneuver on the Comic Book Kaiju. This show is something special. With episode 9, I think it just cemented its place in the annals of Star Wars, and this is just an amazing show, television show. Whether you're a Star Wars fan or not, you have to be watching Andor. All right, back to you guys.
All right, and we are back to discuss the 9th episode of Andor, which is called
We're just going to ignore his review. We're just not going to pay attention to it. It didn't happen.
It speaks for itself.
Obviously.
Thank you, Vector. But yes, this 9th episode. Nope. Well, I mean, like the episode is called "Nobody's Listening."
Yeah, exactly.
So it's the 9th episode of this first season of Andor. The episode is directed by Toby Haynes, and it was written by Bo William. I wanted to say Williamson, but it's Williamon.
Yeah,
Williamon.
Willie Mammoth.
I don't know. Whatever.
Willie Mammoth or Bo.
Willie Mammoth. That's what his last name is. And the first thing I had to say about this episode is that now, like I know we had I don't know if it was like all of us, but I know we had different various theories about who Vel.
Spoilers for anyone who hasn't watched it, FYI.
Yeah.
We'll throw that out there.
Although if you're watching a review recap video about an episode you didn't watch,
Hey,
that's kind of on you at this point.
People get mad. Got to throw it out there.
People have their own avenues of watching television. I don't think we should judge anybody. If they hear spoilers, maybe people just like spoilers. They don't care.
They love it. It makes them feel good. But
Makes you
anyways,
feel spoiled.
Yeah. Vel. Now, we all thought she was going to be related to Luthen, which I mean, I guess
It's still good.
I guess maybe she still could be because so Vel Sartha
Is
is
that her last name?
Mon Mothma's, yeah, I guess so. Mon Mothma's cousin. So I was like, oh, I did not see that coming at all.
Neither did I. I
So
was
I was like,
pleasantly
oh,
surprised
damn.
though.
Yeah, so that puts like another kind of like wrinkle into this too, because it's interesting even more so than like how her and Luthen were like interacting then, like when they were on Aldani. So I'm even like more curious, like I guess, kind of about that and like how exactly uh Mon. It's weird to only say Mon too. Like I feel like I need to always say Mon Mothma.
Do it.
Otherwise,
No one should
yeah.
hold you
And
back.
then I also found out that I figured her husband's name was Perrin Mothma, but it seems like at least for the lineage of like third names, it's almost like a Norwegian like naming convention with like how like Thor is like Thor Odin's son, or if they're a daughter, it's like uh, um so it would have been like
Odin daughters.
It's
yeah, like
it's the Odin
Odin
daughter.
daughter.
Odin
Yeah,
daughter.
so yeah, like my dog, I called her Sylvie Vibert daughter because she's supposed to be like Sylvie. But so I think that's kind of like how their names work. Like her name is Mon Mothma, his name is Perrin Hertha or something like that. And then so it's like his is like a paternal name. I don't know like how that all works. I'm sure it's probably like in one of those like those huge visual dictionary things that they release for Star Wars. And I'm sure like not Pablo Hidalgo. Pablo Hidalgo?
Someone.
I feel like that's
Some
not the right
person.
name.
It's not a real name. You're not even a real boy.
Yeah, but anyways, like finding that out, I was like, oh dang, that's interesting. But
You're just assuming they follow our marriage conventions on wherever they're from.
I was right. His name is Pablo Hidalgo.
There you go.
I overthought it, but
Brilliant.
I was thinking Viggo Mortensen in the movie Hidalgo. But
And there's that reference.
So
yeah.
random.
the movie about Viggo Mortensen riding a horse.
He was the Black Rider.
And I guess kind of going with a lot of the stuff with Mon Mothma in this episode, there was this scene with her and her daughter, and she was like, "Who let you do that?"
We'll see if your father will let you do that. And he lets me do whatever I want.
Everything. I was like, that sounds about right. That definitely sounds about right. Although I've seen some theories where some people think that her daughter, Leda, I think her name is,
something like that. Close.
There's a lot of people's names that sound like Leia. There's Clea, Leda. Leia's also around in this time period, walking around doing
Very
stuff.
So.
So like some people think that maybe Mon Mothma's daughter may possibly be like part of like the like Rebel Alliance too, but like part like some like other subsection, and like they don't know that each other is on that. So she just sees kind of like this facade her mom is putting up, trying to be almost like centrist within like the Senate. and that's why she acts the way that she does around her mom because of that.
Wouldn't that be a
She doesn't
turn?
like her.
Because we all hate Perrin so much that him and the daughter are actually in the Rebel Alliance this whole time.
Well, no, Perrin's definitely not. That dude's a straight up douche. But
He's
like,
the worst father ever. He lets his daughter do whatever she wants.
yeah,
No discipline.
yeah. I don't know, but yeah, like with her, I feel like it still could go either way, and that's not just because I feel like my theory with Cyril is like slipping farther and
He's
farther
just
away.
desperate for someone to be there.
Yeah, I know he's going like more and more Norman
Stalkerish.
Bates ish, like it feels
Mhm.
like in this.
he's he's got issues. I mean, imagine meeting your boss, or not even. It's not even his boss. Dedra is not even his boss. Imagine doing what he did, like to like try and get a promotion. You just like
Yeah.
stalk the person that would be able to do
Uh,
it. Like that he's I and then his relationship with his mother is hilarious too to me.
It
Like she's
is.
ridiculing
you
him, and then he's like,
you want
"I got
my
a
private
promotion."
box?
Yeah, you did. That's my boy. That's all that
Have some
hard
cereal.
discipline I gave you. Here's more
Yeah.
cereal.
Do you like the
That's in it.
whole you want my
Go ahead.
private box?
Oh
I have
yeah.
ways of knowing. It's like, what the
Mm-hmm.
heck's your private box?
Well, either of you watched that Dahmer series?
No, I did not. I stayed away
No,
from that.
Well, he had a
I
private
have seen
box
Seven.
too, and so which is
We
very
know where
similar to
that
what was in Seven.
we knew where that happened. We knew what happened there. That's crazy. That's
I
funny.
also laughed when she's like, "I cook you 2 meals a day, but we only ever see him eating cereal." Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's always
that is
breakfast.
weird.
I guess you got to cook
But
those puffs. She's got to make those puffs and milk the animal that they milk.
yeah, or it could be like that food that we've seen like Obi-Wan and Rey eating, where like they essentially just like pour like water on it, and it's like hydrated, like
Yeah.
and tentacles come
the
out.
like the
Yeah.
hydrated pizza in Back to the Future Part Two. You sure
Uh,
not hydrate a pizza?
oh man.
Well, it was just interesting because he's like, "I work really hard," and then it's like, "No, you're stalking. That's what you're
Yeah.
doing. You're just
I mean,
stalking."
he's got something like he's got some sort of vendetta
Mhm.
Yeah.
against Cassian about something, and that's what I want to see a good payoff for. Like, why is it really just because he murdered two of his colleagues? Like, is that how driven he is to find him? Like, what is his end game for this? Like, and he says it to Dedra. He's like, I want the same thing you want. Like, I can feel it. I can see it in your eyes. Like, he's psycho. He's psycho.
And then she's like, "I'll put you in a cage in the outer rim. Get away from me."
Yeah, because that's where he deserves to go. That's because he's crazy.
That's what made me think maybe that's going to be some payoff. Is he's going to end up in the same prison Cassian's in, even though I don't think that's going to happen in the timeline now. But that'd be interesting. Maybe that's when they two get to confront each other. Is somehow they're in the same facility.
Although it's interesting with Dedra too, because like earlier in the season, you're not like straight up rooting for her because you know that she works for the ISB, but you're
I
also
love
kind of
her
like
character so much, and I
you're
should.
like, oh yeah, like listen to her. She knows what she's talking about, but kind of also don't listen to her because then find out rebel stuff going on.
She's
But
so
like
maniacal and evil, and you should hate her, but you just
Yeah,
root for her
yeah,
for some reason.
she's so good because she's so good.
Yeah,
She's played so
she's very good
well.
at torturing.
Yeah. Oh, the
She had
that
that
she,
like
she
torture
doesn't
moment.
torture. She's not a torturer. She's just
No,
not
that's
against
left
it.
up to the doctor.
well
Yeah.
that's like part of it, or as the doctor goes, hey, he's just like that little wave where he's just like, hey, so
Oh man,
He
that
listened
helmet.
to what she listened to and didn't scream.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like that. Just him describing what she's about to listen to, like children's screams are the best. He
Yeah.
described children's screams as being like the best thing to mess her up.
You know,
Like that'll really get
edited children's screams to boot. Like they listened
Yeah.
to it and were like, "This isn't good enough. We got to tweak it."
Mm-hmm. Oh man.
It's just so effed up.
Yeah, and we also find out that they're gonna end up hanging Salman Pak, the dude that owned the shop that had the
Well,
radio kind of,
Mm-hmm.
which that's gonna kind of weigh a little bit on Bix, I would assume, because like he had turned that off, he wasn't using it, and she's like, I need to use it. I need to try
Mm-hmm.
to contact somebody, and then like at that same point,
immediately
Lucifer
caught.
also like cut that off, so like it didn't even like do anything other than basically kill this dude. So now that leaves his like son like without anybody.
Yeah.
Um,
He hasn't been hung
so
yet, so there's time.
yeah, although they said well like basically what's left of him. So
Right.
like I feel like he's pretty like effed up at this point. And I did like the transitions back and forth between like her like Bix getting tortured and then it like cutting to
The
the
machinery.
Donnie Five, yeah, with the machinery. It was like a good like audio transition.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you weren't sure if it was like her screaming from listening to that, or if it was like the grinding of like
I don't know,
whatever
that
the
whole
machinery.
scene pre-torture and post-torture was so good thematically. Like the staging of Dedra and Bix and how you see the power struggle and how
Mhm.
Dedra is like just taunting her with her body language. And the fact that instead of showing Bix screaming and writhing in pain, they just focus on her eyes.
Yeah.
Like that was just made it more powerful in my mind.
Yeah. That the whole just the balance that they had throughout the whole episode, between just the prison, man, that's so like they're all the 12 hours, so they get one break. Like
Oh
they get
yeah,
I'm taking like they get one break in 12 hours, and then just the just everything, the way it was shot. This episode was I did the way they interweaved the shots and telling the story was definitely something I thoroughly enjoyed. And I love Andy Serkis's character too. Like he's amazing.
Agreed.
uh just his, and I mean making his second appearance as a person. Or maybe he
As a
just turned,
person.
yeah, as a person. But he's I and now his character's arc is changing.
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, yeah, he
And
had hope. Now he has no hope. So
yeah,
he
yeah,
needs a
his
new
hope.
hope.
But so yeah, his I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of rebellion they have on the guards, and and just
Yeah.
how
Yeah,
they
it'll
try
be,
and take over that prison.
you know, because they're
Never
like
more
the
than 12.
elevator's not hooked up. We can just take him down here, and how
Mm-hmm.
they're just like trying to quick plan things. Something's gonna go
Yeah.
awry. He's gonna get out, but something's gonna go awry. Obviously, someone's gonna die. That's gonna be semi important to
Yeah. Well,
him. Or
we know at least two of them get out. We know at least Cassian and Melshi
right,
both get out.
Yeah.
how
But
they get out is what's gonna be interesting.
Well, everybody
everyone
probably
else,
dies.
yeah,
Like
except for those two.
that, because he's seen so much. Like Cat, no, I'm laughing at death, but Cassian has seen so much. Like he's like I've mentioned it before in Rogue One. He says like you have no idea what I've been through.
Mhm.
Like we're seeing it.
Yeah.
We're seeing what he's been through at this point. So I feel like they might be the only two that make it. It's very possible because
Right,
Yeah.
they got rid of an entire floor of people
just like that.
just in a
Yeah. And
heartbeat.
that was interesting too to basically find out like that the one person was supposed to get out from another level,
Well, he
and
got
as
out,
they
and then they just
yeah
put him
yeah
back in.
yeah as they got out, they put him back into another level. So like and assumed nobody would be the wiser, and then everybody figured that out, and they're like, oh well, we got to kill all this level. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's also intriguing because is Andy Serkis freaking out so much because of that, or did he know someone on two that was just killed? Like,
Absolutely.
I want to know more about that. That's just interesting little nugget and portrayal of the story.
Well,
yeah
the older guy, I forgot his name right now. I had it. The one who
who
died of a
are you?
stroke. The doctor
I'm
said
Batman.
that he's seen him before, and I think that's a little telling as well
Right.
as to what actually happens
Mm.
in that prison. And maybe we'll find out more about that. Maybe they're all just cycled through anyway. They're never getting, and I think actually that is because they mention it like we're never getting out of here, and
Yeah,
that's
we're
why
cheaper to
that's the
replace than
payoff.
droids, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the payoff at the end of the episode. is how many guards are there? No more than 12.
Right.
Like we need to
His
rebel now.
his mindset shifted immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's when the older gentleman died of that stroke. I think that's when that click that was that switch for him.
Mhm.
That
Yeah, it
we're
definitely
never
was.
getting after.
I
It's
just
just
I just
41 days
feel
left on this floor.
maybe that's just my inner hope that there's more to it than that. That there's someone he knows on two.
Yeah.
That
Oh, certainly there could be someone there. Absolutely. That would be, I think either way they go with it. I'm just interested in seeing where they go with it because
Mm.
it's like the way they leave you hanging at every. I almost only want to watch it like the day before, almost binge it, like watch so
Oh
I can watch
yeah.
back to back episodes. So because I don't like waiting because now I'm just gonna think about what's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
Disney. I don't know why they did that. They broke the mold, like the trend of like putting everything out there. They're like, nope, we're doing weekly, and it's just like
I
it's irked me
I
ever
prefer it.
since.
Except for
I
Tales of the
prefer it only
Jedi.
because
No, yeah, except for Tales of the Jedi and
well, it's because those are like 15 minutes long. But I I prefer it this way just because it's already like tough enough to like avoid
Mhm.
spoilers for one episode when it gets released. So
Mm-hmm.
like when an entire season gets released. So this is how here's the ending of season one explained 2 hours after it got released.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
got 59 hours of content, and someone's posted a spoiler video within 30 seconds.
yeah,
I
I
was like,
agree.
wait,
Okay,
did you just
you
watch the
got me.
ending?
You got me
But
on
no,
your
I
spoiler.
want it all at once. I'm like of that mindset. I very well at avoiding spoilers. So,
I think what might be a cool idea maybe for like next season specifically with this show is like how we got the premiere where they released that first arc as like the premiere. Maybe specifically with Andor, maybe do like these are like little sub movie events. Because I think that's how I might go back and rewatch this season eventually is so like watch those first three episodes, then watch like
Mm-hmm.
the next arc all together, then watch the next arc and so on and so forth. But like just like
Yeah.
in those like little mini arcs. And then so like maybe next year because it's supposed to be set up with like year four, year three, year two, year one release. I mean, it would be over quicker, I guess. It'd be done in a month, but just release like that that arc, then the next
Yeah.
arc, then the next one. Um, that might be one way. And then just because I know like we've all been enjoying this show and we really have liked it, but I know there's other people I know are waiting specifically because of like how it's arced in this, and
Mm.
people are used to watching, I guess, shows in certain ways and watching a story uh specifically kind of like in serialized shows to be given to you in a certain way, whereas these really are similar to I guess like uh trying to like because some of the Marvel shows have been closer to like, oh, this is literally like a 6 hour movie cut up into one
mm.
hour chunks, whereas that's kind of what this show has been. It's like this is a 3 hour movie cut into three chunks here. So that's a little bit different, like how the storytelling's been done with this too. Although I still think that like this episode, even though it's kind of like the act two of the story, it does it. This whole episode had a really good job of like really holding tension the entire time.
Mm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
you feel it kind of ramping up slowly and getting like more and more tense. I've seen a lot of people also say like this is like one of like their favorite Star Wars things ever is just this episode specifically. That there's not I don't and in this episode there's not like any spaceships. There's not any blasters. There's not any lightsabers. There's not any
I
use
can
of the
agree with
Force at
that
all.
sentiment. I said something very
But
similar in my standalone review.
yeah, but it still is Star Wars. So
Yeah.
like Star Wars can have all that stuff and all that stuff's awesome, but it can still feel like Star Wars even without any of that stuff in
The
there.
Yeah,
art of
it's
good storytelling.
exactly.
That's what it is. It's just good storytelling. And
Yeah.
that's a huge difference in anything really of their series specifically. It's just the stark, I think we talked about this in previous episode. There's the stark difference in how this has been built out, but as compared to everything else they've really done. Even movie wise, I would even say just the storytelling is so gripping because you are feeling for almost like we all like Deidre. Like
we shouldn't, but we do. It's just
This is the way it's written and the way they're able to even just the character relationships, you can feel them even when they're not together, you know?
Yeah.
And I just think like it's just pretty cool.
And that kind of brings me to a point I wanted to make, because they have the scene where all the people in ISB are called together to talk about some rebel pilot and how they're going to dispose of him, essentially.
Yeah.
And Deidre's that Blevin guy, her counterpart who hates her, wasn't there. And I'm like, oh shit, what's he gonna do now? Like, what's he plotting? Like, I was thinking about him during that whole thing while they're talking about just like killing a guy, putting him in a spaceship and pushing it off to space to be found later.
Yeah, she's ruthless. That's another way she's ruthless. She's like, what if we kill him and just put him on a ship? What happens then? That's the best idea. Just kill him and it looks like an accident. Like that's ruthless.
It is.
She's horrible, but I love her at the same time because she's brilliant.
I don't know. That's like like a little bit. That's almost why like her and Cyril. I'm just gonna call him Cyril because he eats cereal.
Yeah, he may be a serial killer.
Yeah, I don't know, but like that's why it almost seems like those two go really well together. He's like that's what Cyril likes. He's like, oh yeah.
Well,
like,
in my take, they're the same person except she's successful.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She's
smarter. She's better
smart about it. He's not.
Yeah. He's just he acts very instinctually, which is what got him in trouble in the first place and why he lost his job, because he's like, oh, I'm going to go with my instincts. Damn the system and damn the ranks and how this works. Like, I'm going to do it.
Damn my boss being like, it's their fault they died. Like, screw them.
Yeah. He doesn't really. She follows the rules to a certain extent, and he's just kind of like. He's a bad guy rule breaker. He's the one that thinks like outside. He's thinking really outside the box,
right?
You know, in a way. And she's like the more straight version of a bad.
Like, she's outside the box, but within the rules at the same time. Like, she uses the rules in ways people weren't anticipating.
Yes.
Like, forgot her request or whatever. She's like, well, according to this act, I can do that. Just like in your face.
Yeah,
you didn't know
that Star Wars.
She knows
the Star Wars version of the Patriot Act, basically.
Oh man,
maybe that's what Blevin's going to do. He's going to hire Cyril to be like her assistant or something, and put him right next to her.
And we still don't know his uncle. Did we really meet his uncle? Or am I?
No, we haven't. And that was another point I didn't write in the notes, because Mon Mothma starts saying how she doesn't want to pair with this gangster type person. Could that be Cyril's uncle?
Yeah, that could be interesting. Oh yeah, and I like how forget what the banker dude's name is, like her old friend, but like I like how uncomfortable he's making her husband feel.
Her old fling. They've been married since they were 15. Like,
get over it. Was he dude. Like her old fling when she was like 11?
Hey, it's Star Wars. I don't. Age is weird everywhere. I don't even want to get into that.
Well, there's also a Star Wars where George Lucas was very fond of the brother and sister.
Yes. So yeah, we just kind of ignore that part. I think it makes it easier.
Anakin was 9 and Padme was 14.
Nothing happened then, though.
Yeah,
it's a galaxy.
She waited until he was
far away from here.
She waited until he was 19.
Known as Alabama.
To our Alabama listeners,
you can mute that. I don't know, whatever. They know what they are.
Oh dear. So yeah.
So I'm not in Alabama now.
is going to tragically die.
That was my other
Mike
note.
put on the notes.
It's clear that there's going to be some tragic death of Marva based on Dedra calling out the fact that she's old and frail and useless, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
When she finds out the link,
word, like use her as bait for Cassian.
Yeah, she's going to be like just blown up right in front of him.
I mean, once they figure out where he is, it shouldn't be too hard to trace him, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't know what their reach is.
Yeah. What's kind of funny is that they already have him, but they don't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Keith.
Like he's already.
They have Keith Grigo.
Yeah, they're literally grasping at straws, to be honest.
How they don't know it's him is that's the one mind-boggling thing.
Because he's shaved.
Oh yeah, that's
They're like, oh, he's clean shaven.
Like Superman putting glasses on. Who's that guy?
He does have the curl.
Well, to be fair, people do look a lot different when they shave.
It is true.
Take the glasses and the beard off, you look a lot different. But
I see my father.
Yeah.
Yes.
I only see that when I take off the hat and then I'd have to do this, and then that's my. Or hold on.
It's a goatee.
Yeah. Or Walter White, one of the two.
I had a goatee for a while.
There you go.
But we digress.
Oh man, Jedis have different beard things. Side note: that's one of the things I liked about Tales of the Jedi too, is that we saw that like little intermediate area between episode 2 and 3, where Obi-Wan is still rocking the mullet, the Jedi.
Oh yeah.
Hadn't grown out yet.
I enjoyed that series too, just as a little throw in there. I thought that was a lot of fun to kind of get a little peek into that kind of storyline.
Yeah.
It was neat. It was fun. And it was quick too. You'd watch it in like a few hours.
Yeah. And I think Mike and I recorded it after Holdo last week. So
we did.
You haven't watched it yet. I'll put it in here as like a check out this video. We did that on it.
Link in the descriptions.
Yeah. But yeah, we talked about it on that. Yeah, I enjoyed Tales of the Jedi. But is there anything else within this episode of Andor that you guys wanted to bring up before we kind of like wrap up and close out for this week?
Maybe one of you might know. That torture helmet they put on Bix, it looks like some communications helmet that some dude was wearing on the Death Star in episode 4. Did it not? You know what I'm talking about?
I'd have to go back and watch to like make sure, but I wouldn't doubt it. Because we have had like little Easter eggs of things from other parts of this universe.
And if it is, like, how sadistic is that they make him wear that the whole time?
Oh, yeah.
Or like, if you can handle it, that's how you can be, an Imperial, whatever, any department in the Imperial Army. So yeah, they sit there and they handle it, and they're just like listening to children screaming, just like do 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 do.
I am focused now.
This is the good
children
stuff.
Screaming helps me focus.
That's what's in Cyril's special box.
Could be.
Something's
in there. We're gonna find out.
If we don't find out, I'm gonna be I might be disappointed. If we don't find out what was in that box, I'll be disappointed. If it's Gwyneth Paltrow's head, I'll be very excited and elated as well.
Brad Pitt just shows up as a Jedi next week. He's
what's in the box?
Oh man, I would imagine he gets that on the street sometimes. Like he's just walking around. People are like, "What's in the box?"
He's like, "Yep, all right."
Like, what do you say? What do you say? You can't say anything.
I still don't believe Cyril's making it to season 2. He's also something's happening with him. He's not going to make it. Whether he's imprisoned, dead.
He puts himself in bad positions, and he got lucky to get that promotion because I think in a way Deidre might like him that part of him, that pursuit of justice in their eyes. So that might keep him alive, or it might get him killed. So that's what's fun about his character, though.
Yeah.
And so interesting about it. It's like he's crazy, but you could see why he is the way he is too, with him having the relationship with his mother in being brought in. Because you don't really have that often. There's not a lot of like mother son.
No, because all the Jedi are taken away from their mother, so you don't see their mothers.
So you don't get to
except
see
Anakin, and you see what happens there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. He killed all of them. He killed all of them.
They're animals. We slaughtered them like animals. Yeah. So we have the last episode of this arc for episode 10, and then we'll have like basically the 2-episode arc for episodes 11 and 12 to finish out the season. So
it'll be interesting to see what happens with this prison break on the horizon.
Yeah. Because I'm assuming that'll wrap up in this next episode, and then I'm not sure what like that last 2-episode arc is going to be at that point. Maybe like Cassian like formally joining the Rebel Alliance there at the end. Because I'm assuming we'll see Saw again before the season. Yeah.
Great.
But yeah. All right, guys. So that's going to wrap us up for episode 29 of the Hold Maneuver and episode 9 of Andor. You can leave us a review on the podcast catcher of your choice, mostly Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also here on YouTube if you're watching this. All the usual stuff, ring the bell, hit the thumbs up, thing to like it, hit the subscribe button.
Ring that little bell.
Yeah, ding, ding, ding. Do all the things. And then in our show notes, you can find all of our social media handles for Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and whatnot, as well as our individual handles for myself and for Mike. And then I'll put yours in there again as well, Adam, if you want to remind everybody where they can find you online too.
On Instagram, I'm at Adam Daniel Danny, and then on Twitter, I'm Adam Danny Daniel. Play on my name, I guess. But those are the only 2 social medias I have. And you can follow me, and I'll interact with you. Maybe, I don't know. It could happen.
There we go.
Depends on what you say.
Yeah. See where we're at.
Especially if you're from Alabama.
Yeah, Alabama.
We love you, Alabama. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Mike's gonna get all the at replies from Alabama once this episode goes up.
Oh boy.
Hey, as long as they don't make fun of Elvis again, they got me a lot of hate on my other channel.
Oh boy. Yeah, no,
you don't ever make fun of Elvis.
I didn't make fun of the person. I just said the movie wasn't very good, in my opinion.
You're entitled to that.
Yeah.
You also can't make.
Don't tell that to the folks on the internet, though.
And don't make fun of UHF either.
Yeah, I'm almost incited a riot on that. Look, UHF wasn't terrible. It just wasn't that good. I haven't seen it since I was 13. Give me some.
Oh, yeah. I saw them when I was a kid on like WWOR New York or something like that.
Oh,
like on TV.
That seems like the perfect place to watch UHF is on that like that kind of a channel.
Oh yeah,
it's essentially like upsending.
Pretty sure I watched it at Mark's house and fell asleep. So
because you were tired, not because the movie was boring or anything. You just had a long day.
Long day of being 13.
Yep, those were long days. And speaking of long days, you can email us at holdopod@gmail.com. As always, we are grateful to George Lucas for creating the Star Wars universe.
Oh dear, thank the maker.
George, appreciate you.
Make more movies. Stop being afraid.
Every time I hear George, I just think of my dad.
George.
My dad's name's George.
I have an Uncle George.